Have you ever been in a conversation where you ran out of things to say? I have countless times, and it felt so awkward that I vowed to never let it happen again. So in this video, I'll share what I did to always keep a conversation going, no matter the topic, while demonstrating that it's actually way easier than you expect. So, quick story. I used to be the funny one in the group. Well, I tried to be at least. Anyways, I would joke around constantly, and I was just never serious. I remembered that I would always say whatever thoughts popped into my head. This worked for me most of the time, but as you would probably expect, it sometimes really backfired. For example, I remember this one time, I told a joke that I thought was hilarious, but somehow no one laughed. I then spent an awkward few minutes trying to get the conversation back on track, but that feeling of awkwardness stayed with me the entire night. It was awful. But even though I felt uncomfortable, there was actually a surprising benefit to this experience. And with it, I actually changed my social skills for the better. So now, I can actually speak my mind without fear of being judged. And I want to share that ability with you. So, what was it? Well, it might sound crazy, but what I learned was that I needed to literally say whatever came to my mind. Almost like I was on autopilot. Whatever I thought of, I would say. Obviously nothing crazy, of course, but anything else, I would just blurt out. The reactions I would get to random sentences would literally strike up whole new conversations. It actually made for some really funny talks. Also, it's just super fun to say random crap and see people's reactions. Sometimes the joke will land really well, and people will think you're the funniest guy on earth. While other times, the joke will land flatter than the earth. But that's okay, because like everything in life, balance is a necessity. So taking the time to practice is your best bet. But how do you practice? And can you avoid being awkward? The way I started was just by using humor in my conversations. Like anytime a situation got awkward or uncomfortable, I simply would use that to my advantage. So instead of letting fear control me, I decided to control fear. For example, if I started to feel awkward at all, I would typically make jokes about myself to lighten the mood. Or say something completely random that jumpstarts the conversation again. Humor has a magic way of removing tension. It just makes everything feel more relaxed. And once you're back on track, you can re-engage the conversation by asking open-ended questions to help guide it. So, humor works really well. But surprisingly, that's not all you need to carry a conversation. Here, take a look at these two paintings. Tell me what sparks your interest first. Is there anything that inspires you, makes you feel sad, happy, or angry? Conscious or not, a painting creates emotions within you to problem solve and be creative. So using that knowledge, you can actually apply this concept to conversations. And here's how. Alright, imagine every time you ran out of things to say, you look at your environment for inspiration on what to say next. You could comment on the type of building you're in, or how it reminds you of a place that you've been to before. These are really simple examples, so be creative with whatever comes to your mind. Eventually, you'll be speaking so casually that you won't even have time to be awkward. You'll simply be enjoying the conversation for what it is. Alright, now you're funny and creative. Just one more trick and you're on the road to success. Do you remember that at the start of the video, I mentioned that talking is actually way easier than you think? Well, it's true, and here's why. When you start a conversation, you're overflowing with anxiety and nerves, so much so that you completely freeze up, causing unwanted awkward situations. But if you can push past that phase, I found that you actually feel comfortable naturally. Simply explained, the more you start conversations, the more you can start conversations. I know that sounds super weird, but it's actually true. The only thing stopping you from talking more is fear and doubt. Facing your fear and your doubt is the only ensured way of guaranteed success. This will take time, but eventually it will be easy. Know that you have what it takes and go for it. Don't expect perfection, and you will get results.